There's my sound check. Sorry.
What did you do? Did you just burp?
Yes.
You should have kept that in. Damn it.
We could just keep going from here.
I mean, maybe we could. I mean, we'll never do the test that we were supposed to do beforehand, but oh well.
Yeah, that is the ultimate way to start off season 2. Jesus Christ. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't have any sense before, this is Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast, and this is season 2, brought to you this time by Dr. Pepper's Zero Sugar Cherry flavor and Joe's stomach.
Forget starting with a bang, we're starting with a burp.
Just start the new season off with a belch. There we go.
Wow, what a way to begin. I mean, we are, after so many months, we are back again, and we are back with a brand-spanking-new series of Taskmaster. Because what we were supposed to do is what you've just heard is like us trying to do like a test or something, but Joe's burp was too perfect, so we've decided to just roll with it, and now we thought it was so good, we basically just ought to keep going. So now I've opened my notes. Call them notes. It was basically like me writing down vigorously everything that happened.
Yeah, that was what I did too. I watched this last night. I actually didn't have a piece of paper, so I was doing this on my phone.
Sorry.
There's your burp. Yeah. Yeah, I have 13 pages of notes in my phone's note app because I took some notes while I was going.
Well, welcome everyone to Your Time. I think we've said the name of the podcast.
Yes, we have.
Welcome to Series 2 of Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. I'm Emerson.
And I'm Joe.
And when I say Joe, I mean Joe Zarday. My second...
Okay, Zeta. I've told you how it's pronounced. It's Zeta. Zeta.
Darth, you're Darth Zeta.
It's Persian or Iranian, depending on which political entity you prefer to go by.
Okay.
It's a very common Iranian name, and the whole story of my family history is really long and complicated on my father's side. But it's Iranian through Israel because, long line of Jews through that way.
So is your father Jewish?
Yes. I am not, but he is not like practicing. He does not practice being Jewish, but yeah.
Welcome to a Taskmaster podcast about religion.
Yes.
Anyway, what I was going to say is that Joe Zeta is my second favorite Joe of all time. Can you guess who my first favorite Joe is?
Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers?
Nope, Joe Wilkinson.
Oh yes, our favorite athlete ever.
Our favorite beard guy who catatonically, I think that's the right word, does not give two shits.
Which can describe me in many situations, but here we are.
We are here indeed. Now, normally we would like to we're not like Ed Gamble's podcast. We like to talk a little bit about, actually Ed Gamble's podcast does this as well. Don't listen.
I still haven't listened to it.
Don't listen to Ed Gamble's official Taskmaster podcast. Listen to ours. If you're interested in being a guest, please contact us because we are starting to look at maybe welcoming guests on. And also, please leave us a review on iTunes because we want to be noticed a bit more.
And comment on our YouTube channel because it makes me feel better that people are watching this because as we discussed in the Q&A episode from last season, Emerson has the podcasting apps and I have the YouTube channel, and it's very lonely on the YouTube channel when we get like 4 views a week on the season 1 videos.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel nice, makes me feel wanted.
Yeah, I apologize if there was like some couple shuddering movements. I was just moving my mic a bit lower down, but we're here.
Yeah, we're here. And actually, as a note, we did say we were starting this with a mic test. Those of you in the audience with keen ears might notice that I'm significantly louder than I was for most of season 1. That's because I've upgraded to some brand. I think it's a Logitech. This is not sponsored by anyone. This is a Logitech like over-the-ear headset mic that doesn't fit my head perfectly, but it does mean I have a microphone next to my mouth, so my volume should be consistent, if nothing else. which last time I was using a USB stand mic, and I would move away from the microphone and produce very inconsistent audio. But it does mean that if Emerson's any quieter, then I drown him out, which, it happens. We'll have to work
It'll
with
be
this.
funny. I mean, if we think back to the very first episode of Series 1, when you went right up close and nearly permanently damaged my hearing. Fun times.
I don't think I can do Joe upset, or did it?
It definitely was a bit louder, but it didn't kill my ears.
Yeah, see, it must cut that out, or it must not be a great microphone. This was not an expensive microphone. Yeah. This is not, but it does the job.
Yeah, also, sorry if you hear me smacking my lips. I've got the orange squash has returned.
Yep. As I mentioned, this is a different flavor of Dr. Pepper, which, in North American soda news, Dr. Pepper has finally rolled out a 0-calorie option, which is different than diet soda in some deeply ephemeral way, because I think in Europe they're actually called light sodas. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say diet soda?
Yeah, like Diet Coke and stuff.
Yeah, Diet Coke. This one is not Diet Coke. This is 0-calorie soda, which is different because they've added, and I remember this because I had to look this up, acesulfame potassium to this soda. I don't know what it does, but in addition to Diet Dr. Pepper cream soda, Diet Dr. Pepper, and Diet Dr. Pepper cherry, they've now added 0-calorie versions of all of these, or 0 sugar versions. I'm sorry, it's the same thing because they all use aspartame to begin with. But it's very silly because I'm drinking the cherry flavored one right now, and guess what color the can is? On a cherry soda.
Well,
you'd think it.
Well, the original Dr. Pepper cans are a reddy brown.
Yeah.
So, is it black?
No, it's blue.
I wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
Blue can for reds. It's actually red. The soda is red. But because original Dr. Pepper is red, the cans are red. They can't have a red can for cherry soda. So it's black with blue and a red cherry on it. And it's a real head fake to be drinking this for the first time because you expect it to taste like a blue, we associate colors with tastes here in America. Blue is supposed to taste like blue raspberry, which people are going to say, oh, that's not a real fruit. It actually is. It actually is a real fruit. It's just not a very common one, but except in the flavor industry. But this is a red drink. It tastes like red, and it is, in fact, in a blue can. So, soda discussion over, unless you want to talk about it more.
I mean, I've got several things. I've got two or three things to add. We have 0 sugar fizzy drinks here in the UK.
Oh, you do?
We've got Coke Zero.
Yes.
Pepsi Max.
Okay.
If it's got the word 0 or max, it normally means it is devoid of sugar and calories.
Yeah. Coca-Cola rebranded Coke Zero because it was originally just Coke Zero. It's now Coke Zero Sugar. All of these are now 0 sugar, which,
I think they did that here too.
I don't understand the entire point behind that branding, but I believe it's because they wanted to drive home that that no actual sugar is involved with this. It's all aspartame and stuff like that. If you are a soda scientist and listen to this podcast, please leave a comment or email us at ytsnpodcast@gmail.com.
Hey.
Yep, there we go.
First email plug of the new series.
There we go. But please email us or reach out to us in some other fashion. Carrier pigeon, rock through a window, that sort of thing. As to why this works, why they did this, because I genuinely don't know, and I drink a large number of diet sodas.
Don't forget, you can also tell us through Morse code.
Yes. Do send us a Morse code message, a Marconigram, Western Union, all those sort of things. Also, if you work for the Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta and happen to be one of the people involved with the discontinuation of Tab, you can go fuck yourself. Let's just start right there. Because Tab is my favorite soda. It is It is the 1970s OG diet soda that comes in a pink can, and like nobody drinks because they're not 1970s health conscious women, which the soda was designed for. And I liked it, and I drank it, and I loved it. And there's still actually a Twitter bot that I set up that just yells at Coca-Cola every 90 minutes to bring back tab, you cowards. But because they discontinued it as part of materials shortages due to COVID.
Just for the record, we are 10 minutes and 30 seconds
Oh,
in.
yeah. It's like, aside from that one guy who thought that we were a Masked Singer podcast, I don't think anyone listening to this is expecting anything different.
Yeah. I mean, I've got several things to talk about in my life.
Oh, yes.
So the reason we took a break is so I could finish up on some projects for my first year at uni. Those are all done, but one. I've got a presentation project in a few days. I should clarify. We obviously are recording this a little bit in advance because it's more efficient on our behalf.
Yeah, today is the 25th of May, 2021. We're going to try and release this episode, you said, on the 20...
Hold on. We'll get around to that.
Oh.
Because it's a very, very, very specific reasoning for that date. And why we are releasing it. But we will get to that in a second. So... In other news, I also injured my leg, so I was on crutches for a bit.
What did you do?
It's actually quite embarrassing.
Man, I cut my finger on a French fry once. You can't beat that.
That's the most American injury ever.
No, seriously. Tell yours and then I'll tell mine, because mine's not at all ghastly.
Well, I was trying to get out of bed to go to the fridge for food at 10 to midnight. I twisted my leg too far, and then it started swelling up, and I went to A&E. My parent, because I don't live near my parents anymore, so I had to call the taxi and go to A&E all by myself. A&E is accident and emergency, basically.
Yeah, it's the British version of the emergency room, but it's free because of national healthcare.
Yep. Woo, NHS. So I hadn't broken anything. I think there might have been a little strain or a sprain or a twist or something. And basically my leg swelled up a bit. It's better now. I don't need crutches anymore. But they're still just off to the side in my room, and I'll need to... Oh, sorry, I just twisted my head to look at them. They're still here, and I might have to go and return them in the next few days.
Yeah, no, my injury is food related, but not as funny as that. I went to a restaurant that had battered French fries, which I guess they just sort of dip them in batter before they fry them. It's a different way of doing it, and it's not the most common way to prepare French fries in America, which for our European viewers, pommes frites is what they're called over there. It's fried potato wedges, but it had a very crispy batter on it, and I got some of it just flaked off onto my hand. I was rubbing my fingers together, and they just came away bloody. To this day, I have no idea how it happened, but I managed to cut my finger, my index finger and my thumb on a chunk of French fry.
Oh, God.
Which, that happened. Which, it's my favorite dumb injury. Because it's one of the things where it's you really managed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, those injuries are the best, though. They're embarrassing in the moment, but they make for great laughs in the future.
Oh, it wasn't even embarrassing in the moment. It was more confusing and then funny. But, which sort of describes Taskmaster as well. But...
Yeah, I mean, I like how, as of recently, there's been, in terms of some, Taskmaster-related topics, although not related to this episode we're covering, there's been a lot of videos recently, fucking get it right, Emerson, talking about the genius of Taskmaster and sort of why it's a better. There's actually a philosophical video. If I can get you the link, Joe, would you mind putting it?
I can put it in the links to the YouTube video. Yeah. I think I was made aware of this video, but I don't. Not to offend anyone who likes these. I think that a lot of the YouTube TV centered video essays are a little pretentious, and they're not exactly what I'm looking for in a documentary. So I don't watch them that much, but I am aware of them. However, my favorite piece of Taskmaster-related video is one that we will discuss later on in this episode, which came out 5 years after this episode aired and is related specifically to this episode.
Oh, I'm not sure I've seen that one. Is it like a breakdown of it, or is it more like?
No, it is a guy who watched this episode and was consumed by a very specific part of it that we are going to spend a lot of time talking about, I bet.
Oh yeah, I know exactly which moment you're talking about, and if you've seen the episode, you most definitely know which part this is too. But we will get there in due time. Also, I would also like to give a shout out to a very specific individual who makes great Taskmaster related videos, sort of like her opinions on stuff. Jamie Does TV, who has a YouTube channel, makes some fascinating, but also fun and just like interesting Taskmaster based videos. Like she ranks she ranks the series, she ranks the outfits, she reviews certain episodes live on stream. She even reviewed like the New Zealand and American versions, which we might do as well.
We're definitely going to do the American versions, which is going to be a really fun bit of radio play because they're on Comedy Central's website, which I can access because I am in America and have a cable subscription, and you won't be able to because you aren't either of those.
Well, someone on the internet somewhere has probably found.
Yeah, you can pirate it, which I honestly, that show deserves to be pirated. No one deserves to get paid for that.
Wait, what if we did that as like a video series, and I just came on dressed as a pirate because I pirated them?
I mean, if you ever make your way out to the States once travel is out there, we could just binge it because it's half-hour episodes. There's only 6 of them, so it would only take like an afternoon.
But like I said, we'll cross all that bridge when we come to it. Like I said, Jamie Does TV. I'd really recommend checking her out, and of course sharing your opinions. Jamie, if you would ever be interested in coming on this podcast to just talk Taskmaster, we'd love to have you, and we respect your content. Sorry if this was awkward. I'm not the best at shouting people out, but
no offense, Jamie. I have not watched her content, but she comes highly recommended from Emerson, and I checked her out at work this morning, and it seems like the sort of stuff that if you're listening to this podcast and you're not my parents, who say hi, by the way, Emerson. My mom says hi, but
hi, Joe's
if you're not my parents who are listening to this because I'm doing this, you'll probably like that. You'll probably like that sort of stuff. Is there any other news and stuff that we've gotten through? Is anyone?
Series 11 wrapped up lately.
Yes.
And they announced Series 12, like the cast for that.
Yes, they announced that the same day or the day afterwards, which
I think it was the same day.
I like how they have we're not going to talk too much about that because we still have 10 seasons before we get to that, but Victoria Mitchell is going to be on
Victoria
it.
Corin Mitchell.
I apologize, Victoria Corin Mitchell. I think it's very interesting that she is going to be on this before her husband, David Mitchell, because David Mitchell needs to be on this show.
He will most likely do it.
No, he needs to be on this show, but specifically with everybody who is the exact opposite. Because David Mitchell's entire existence is to yell at people's illogic.
Or to just be a big pessimist.
And so I really wish they'd put him and Bob Mortimer on at the same time, because Bob Mortimer on Will I Lie to You is some of like the most David Mitchell's head exploding stuff ever.
Quick question. What is your favorite, like, Would I Lie to You moment?
With Bob, it's a dead heat between.
I mean, not specifically Bob, just like in general.
Well, most of it is Bob related. It's probably a tie between Kevin Bridges' "I Bought a Horse" and Bob Mortimer with the crack the egg into the bath, because that one, it was spoiler alerts for this old episode. That was a lie that someone taught Bob Mortimer to crack an egg into a bath for his skin, and David Mitchell flat out believed him the entire time. And and it's just at the end of it, like if you want to pull the sound from this and put this in the episode, it's just David Mitchell going, "Of course it's fake, of course it's Bob. Who would crack an egg into their bath?" Or it's something like that, and it's just a man losing his sanity.
What are you going to say?
Instinctively, I believe it. We're going to go true.
You're saying true? Okay, so Bob, Chris Rea, eggs, is it the truth, or is it a lie?
This is awful.
I was telling a lie.
Of course it's a lie. He said Chris Rea put an egg in his bath. Of course it's a lie. It's obviously a lie. Who could possibly believe that? It'd be more likely that someone was stuck in a car wash for 3 hours.
As opposed to the Kevin Bridges "I bought a horse" story, which is a Scotsman trying to relate how he accidentally bought a horse in, where was it, Romania?
No, it was
and it's just
Bulgaria or something.
Bulgaria, because they use the lev as the currency. And it's just, apparently people post in the comments, this took 45 minutes to actually get the story out. So by the end of it, everyone was losing their minds.
I would give anything to see the uncut version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But oh well, everything that didn't make it to TV is probably lost media.
It's probably on someone's hard drive somewhere. You'd be amazed what people
If
keep.
you have the full cut of the full uncut version of Kevin Bridges' "I accidentally bought a horse," please don't just share it with us. Share it with everyone.
Kevin, look at me. You're taking the horse back. Look at me. What happened next?
Come on, Kevin. Come on. Right. So where are we taking off from?
You're taking the horse back.
Let's go back to the start.
Kevin Bridges, for the love of God, please tell us what happened.
Right. We bought a horse. We thought we'd rented the horse. We'd done the horse riding, took it back to the initial place we picked up the horse.
Yes.
Locals explained we'd went to a counterfeit horse guy. It wasn't the official horse riding stable.
This was a counterfeit horse. This wasn't a genuine horse. This was maybe 2 guys in a costume.
That would explain the 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't only do 25 minutes.
The giveaway was after 25 minutes, I won't win. Right, let's crack on, lads.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would love to see.
Yes, share it with everyone. Speaking of sharing it with everyone, we've shared 20 minutes of everyone's time with us. Do we want to get on with the actual episode, or is there more stuff to talk about?
Do you think from this point on, if we ramble too long, we should say at the beginning, we ramble for X amount of time, skip to this time to hear the episode stuff?
I do that in the actual YouTube video.
Yeah, but we don't do it in the podcast, like the audio podcast.
They should watch the YouTube video then and use the chapter feature that I spend a lot of time putting together for our 30 to 50 viewers per episode.
Well,
those
30 to 50 people. Those 30
if you're still listening to this, we ramble for 21 minutes, 40 seconds. Skip ahead to that point.
You can't tell them that now, because we're already
I
here.
know! That's the point!
All right, we've rambled enough. We've talked about Series 11. And, one more thing, and I promise this will be the last thing. Mike Wozniak needs to be protected at all costs, okay?
From himself, if no one else.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he injured himself in pursuit of a challenge.
Mike Wozniak, if you would like to come on this podcast...
Yes.
I'm telling this right now. I do not want anyone to come on this podcast more than I want Mike Wozniak. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah, him or maybe Alex. Alex would be great to have on the podcast, but Mike would be amazing.
Well, yeah. Oh, I hope he could I hope we don't take away from the fact that he had an absolutely lovely day if he came on.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw Series 11, you will get that joke.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, enough of the present. Let's jump back a couple years to Series 2, Episode 1 of Taskmaster, Fear of Failure.
Yep. And we are, of course, introduced to our new contestants this time, whom, I'm going to be real, I know about half of these people, and I think even then it's not a full knowledge of their roles. So why don't you fill in what I don't say? Because we have Joe Wilkinson, who...
We'll go. We have to go alphabetically. It's Taskmaster. So we've got Doc Brown.
Who is a man.
Yeah, who's a rapper.
I don't know anything else about him.
If you've seen The In-Betweeners,
I have not.
Most people will recognize Doc Brown as the guy who rolled Jay's blunt or joint for him. Sorry, I'm not a smoker. His either blunt or joint in the episode where they all like go to the in the Series 2 episode where they go to a gig and explaining 101. But you'll most likely know him from that In-Betweeners scene.
Okay.
Joe Wilkinson, not much knowledge on... Actually, no, I take that back. Joe Wilkinson is on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. He might have been on the original Countdown too, but he's definitely on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. And he is so fun. What does
he do on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown? Because every time I see clips of him on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, it's progressively... I understand less each time.
Well... I haven't seen every episode of 8 out of 10 Cats, but from what I've seen, Joe is in pretty much every episode. What he does is, about halfway through, he comes on, and he's sort of like a right-hand man for Rachel Riley. Rachel Riley? Is that her name?
Listen,
oh, no, wait, hold on. No, sorry.
I've never seen an episode of 8 out of 10 Cats. I've just seen the clips, and they're always... Every clip I have seen lessens my understanding of what the show is.
It was Rachel Riley. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. I was thinking... Because when I said Rachel Riley, I thought, is that the name of someone who is not related to 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, who I probably shouldn't mention on this podcast?
Okay.
Yeah. Just to clear it up, Rachel Riley is the... Countdown woman who like gets all like the letters and numbers and puts them on the board. Sorry for any confusion. And what Joe does is about halfway through, he will come on and he'll have a little bit of banter with the host, Jimmy Carr. And he will just like fuck around with the board for the next 2 hours. So what they'll do is like, when if they're like, go to make a word and one of the contestants says, can I have a vowel? What Joe will do is he'll like shuffle through the letters and like choose one at random just to give to them.
Yeah,
and he'll like twist them around. So like if someone's got a number 8, he'll turn it into an infinity, or if they've got a letter I, he will turn it 90 degrees so it becomes like a dash or something.
Local agent of chaos, Joe Wilkinson.
We should make that. You should make that as like a badge and send it to him.
Yeah. After that, yeah, I should actually. But after Joe, we have John Richardson.
John Richardson.
I know from Mock the Week as a like a reoccurring but not cast contestant. Actually, this is also where I know the person after him, Catherine Ryan, from, but I don't know what he does other than that.
Sorry, I don't actually think John Richardson was on Mock the Week.
He had to have a guest appearance on.
I'm looking at his Wikipedia, and nowhere does it say he was on Mock the Week. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't really. Catherine Ryan, who's next, has been on Mock the Week. But John, admittedly, John is like the one member of the 5 I know the least about, other than the fact he is pretty small, and that is like a joke that is played out for the rest of the series. John Richardson being a man of very small stature.
Yeah. That's funny. What has John Richardson been in, if it's not Mock the Week, that I would have seen him in?
He's been on Would I Lie to You a couple times.
That might have been it. Was he on The Last Leg ever? As a guest?
Let me see. Yeah, he's been on The Last Leg very recently. It wasn't until last year that he appeared as a guest on the last
I
round.
guess I must have seen him in something else, because almost everyone else I know is through Mock the Week. Because Catherine Ryan's been on Mock the Week a lot of times.
Yeah, she has. Speaking of Catherine Ryan, she is, she's the next contestant. Like Joe said, she's famous from Mock the Week. 8 out of 10 cats. Basically, if it's a panel show in the UK, she's most likely been on it. Catherine's also,
and she is a Canadian.
Yeah, she's Canadian. So not too far from where you are.
Actually, yes, she is. I'm on her Wikipedia
Or isn't
page.
she from like Vancouver or something?
She's from Sarnia, Ontario, which is a suburb of most of Ontario is a suburb of Toronto, and yes, Canadians, I will say that. But Toronto is about Sarnia, and that whole area is like, Sarnia is near Michigan. That's right. That's actually much closer than Toronto is. I was thinking of Toronto itself. Sarnia is on the opposite side of the river from Detroit and Port Huron, Michigan.
If I may say something about Ontario real quick. Obviously,
go ahead.
I don't know. I just found this quite interesting. Obviously, Ottawa is the capital of Canada, which is also in Ontario.
Yeah.
But like, because Ontario is like a province, so it has like its own capital and like a government that sort of decides things for it. A little bit like a state, but I think that there's obviously a couple of differences, or else it would be a state if it had the exact same.
Yeah.
But Ontario's capital is Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. The second T is pronounced silently. That's how the Canadians do it.
Okay, well, in here, I mean, tomato.
I mean, it is technically the Queen's country, and you are one of the Queen's citizens, so you have a better right to pronounce it the way you want to than I do.
Well, whatever. I'll just say Toronto. If you are Canadian and you disagree, I apologize. Actually, no, I don't.
Canadian hate here. Okay. It's getting spicy in the Commonwealth, I guess.
But anyway, yeah, that's just my little quip about Canada. Anyway, we've got one person left, Richard Osman, who is he's classed as a comedian on Wikipedia, but he's not really known for like stand-up comedy or even just like appearing in like sitcoms or something.
As Greg says after one of the commercial breaks, here we have 4 comedians and Richard Osman.
Yeah, the joke is like they'll say, "Welcome back to Taskmaster," where 4 comedians and 1 television producer, who is Richard, will duke it out for like shit. And so obviously most people will know things like from like Pointless, Richard Osman. They'll know him from Pointless. I don't watch a lot of Pointless. What I do watch is Richard Osman's House of Games, which is also on BBC on the BBC. I think it's on BBC Two, although I think there was an instance where it was on BBC One for a little bit. Good show. I'd recommend checking it out if you just like things to like put on in the background while you do something else. It's a good show for that, and it's also had like it's had about 4 series, but I think it's had about over 250 episodes.
Yeah, which I haven't watched any of Richard Osman's productions, but I've heard they are very good, because otherwise he wouldn't be on television still.
Yeah,
that was a slurping sound.
Yeah, that was just me. Like a little bit of my squash was dribbling down the bottle of the side of my bottle. So sorry you had to hear that.
Good to know. But yes, those are our contestants. In case you missed it, because it took us 10 minutes to introduce them. I actually had a note in my notes. No lengthy introductions of the guests. We mentioned last season that Greg gave a little bit of a sentence about each person as he introduced them. He did not do that this time.
From Series 2 onwards, Greg just rattles off everybody's name.
Yeah. Also, a difference from Season 1 is the appearance of the trophy bust. The giant golden bust of Greg Davies' head is the trophy that everyone is competing for. That was not present in Season 1, instead being a hastily bought karate trophy was given to last season's winner, Josh Widdicombe. This time it is a full bust, presumably because they knew they'd been renewed for another season.
Yeah, they have. Sorry, I'm just looking up where the theatre is. From I think they're filming in a new theatre from this series onwards as well.
I was wondering that because, you know, when we're going through the end of the episode, when I was watching the end of the episode, I went through the credits to see if I could find Mr. Damien Eggs again, and unfortunately, Mr. Eggs was not with the production this time. It did seem like they were. I was wondering if they were in a different theater because it did seem like there were some minute differences.
Yeah, there are definitely some differences. Unfortunately, I can't find the name of the new theatre for now. I'll probably get back to you with that in the next episode. But for now, it's just a new theatre, I think. So,
Yeah.
after how long have we been at this, Joe?
It's been 33 minutes.
All right, I think we better keep going.
Yeah. Do you want to do the prize task, or do you want me to do that?
If we're alternating again,
Yeah.
you know what? I'll start this time.
Okay.
But very quickly, Alex Horn says to Greg that he now feels like he believes in himself more, and he sees himself more as Greg's au pair, which is basically a nanny.
Yeah, this was a very strange but polite banter between those two. I had that noted down.
And Alex says that he stays in Greg's house and looks after his children, even though Greg does not have any children. And he thinks he looks pretty. And Greg thinks that Alex looks like a pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
Banter, ladies and gentlemen. And running jokes.
We know nothing about that.
Running jokes established. John is small, Richard is tall, and Richard is technically not a comedian. And now it's the prize task. So this is where the prize tasks tend to get a little more vague. I think in sort of like how they're.
I thought this was very specific. This one.
Oh yeah, specific. Sorry. I sometimes it's late where I am. It's past 11 o'clock. Specific, but yeah, the prize tasks get more specific. So we go from things like most unusual item to, which was the very first prize task ever, to now the prize task this episode, which is most important document.
Yes, most important document.
So Doc was first. He brought in his first completed rhyme book from his time as a teenage rapper.
Filled with quotes such as "Forget memory lane, I travel down Attitude Avenue."
Oh yeah, I like that. Maybe
this is angsty teenage rap.
Yeah, this is. You know, should have said. You remember Ramesh Ranganathan from last series?
Mm-hmm. How could I forget?
Exactly. He also did a bit of rapping in his past, whether as a teenager or young adult.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like some video of him on like 8 out of 10 Cats just countdown rapping.
We should have a drink counter every time one of us mentions 8 out of 10 Cats does countdown.
No. We won't. I don't know how many times we mentioned it. Joe, plain and simple, brought his wedding certificate.
Which is, again, that is a very Ramesh move, but in a critical change from Ramesh, Joe's wife knows and said no when he asked to bring it.
And he brought it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Joe is fucking petrified of his wife.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. Greg laughs a lot. Greg likes to laugh a lot.
Yep, and then up next we have John Richardson.
And he's one of 2 people who's brought in a Guinness World Record certificate, and he holds the record for the highest stand-up comedy gig. And I wrote this down when like the certificate flashed up on the screen. Joe Wilkinson. I nearly said Joe Richardson. That's like probably their shit name.
When it flashed up on screen, Joe Wilkinson did go fucking hell or something like that.
He said shit.
He said shit because they do bleep it out in the YouTube version.
Yeah. Although I did watch. I got a VPN, won't say which, and watched the YouTube version on like 1.5 times the speed just so I could get it done quicker.
Oh my god!
And I think it's so much funnier on that speed because it's a lot snappier. But it just like out of nowhere, you just hear like the censoring beep, and everyone just laughs.
Yeah.
Basically, he did his gig on the plane with Jack
this was
Whitehall and Mock the Week host Dara O'Brien were there for moral support.
I actually have the BBC article about this. It was a Smile High gig for comic relief, which, as Richard Osman points out, Dara and Jack Whitehall are both taller than John Richardson, so technically he did not perform the highest comedy show. Also,
no, he did, because he was the only one who did the gig, but still, they were taller than him.
Also, I would like to point out in this article, which I'm going to have to put this in the YouTube video, British Airways captain Brian Connolly said, "I'm proud to be able to say that I'm a Guinness World Records holder and, of course, member of the Smile High Club," which implies that everyone on that airplane got a record from this.
I mean, a lot of world records were given out that day, I guess.
I guess, but that does sort of lessen the
I didn't know that gig was for comic relief, because it means like this was done for comic relief.
It was done for Comic Relief, the organization, but
fair enough.
Raised almost £100,000 for specifically Red Nose Day.
That's good, because at least it was for comic relief, unlike a certain high five. We still haven't forgiven you for that, Tim Key.
I still think it's the funniest thing he's done.
Yeah, me too. But sometimes the best things are the worst things.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of flying, Catherine Ryan...
On British Airways.
Yeah, on British Airways too. Catherine Ryan has brought in a flight companion voucher, meaning that even if wherever you're flying and how you're flying, even if it's first class, you can bring one person along completely free, and it's worth 10 grand. I thought this was very good. I'd like this.
It is very cool, but that's not, as importance of documents goes, that's a very impressive but not an important document. I mean, on the grand scheme of things, like, someone like me, I like traveling a lot. I would say that her frequent flyer card would be much more important, because that would be like, seeing how many miles she's got on, because presumably she said she flies a lot for work, and presumably she also flies home to Canada a lot.
Yeah, that's true. This thing, a flying voucher would probably be more important to someone from like the States like you, because obviously with cities that are a lot further apart, you need a quicker method of transportation to get there.
Hers would be useless to me, because as a British Airways frequent flyer mile thing, at current times I can't use that because in date this episode, the UK is still closed off from international travel for the most part because of COVID.
I mean, it's open to most countries are opening up. There's like a traffic light system.
Yeah, it's not quite there yet. And so I'm fully vaccinated, but it's one of those things where it's like, let's just wait until it's done.
The traffic light system's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I quite like this. Obviously, as well, British Airways as a British person, would most likely be the airways I was flying with if I was going anywhere. But the thing is, we don't take a plane often, and when we do, it's normally like once a year for like an abroad holiday. Because, like I said, the UK is such a small country, you either drive or take the train.
Yeah, we fly a lot, and if I were going to fly, this is not an advertisement for them, but I have a Delta Airlines frequent flyer card that gets a lot of use because I like Delta Airlines more than the other two U.S. carriers. Yeah. But anyway, doesn't mean I've been to Atlanta a lot.
That's enough bitching about flying.
It's not
super quickly, bitching. Richard Osman, he holds another Guinness World Record for the most capital cities named in a minute on television.
Was it specifically on television, or most countries?
Most capital cities.
I read it on screen. It said most capital cities, most countries identified from their capital city in 1 minute. It was a very specific record.
Okay, so it's like, say, I named a country like the UK, and you'd say London. I said
no. I think it was that, like,
Paris.
if you say if the examiner says London, he says UK. If the examiner says Dublin, he says Ireland.
Okay.
That's sort of
well.
That's what I believe it was.
Also,
but either way, he did it on Pointless.
Okay.
And got a record for it.
I mean, we're definitely more impressed about these than Greg is. So I guess it's time to talk about scores then. Sorry we didn't talk about your Guinness World Record much, Richard. But I think you can see why. Scores. Joe 5, Doc 4, Catherine 3, John and Richard both get 2 despite holding world records.
Yes, and now we get to talk about the Taskmaster Joe segment, which do you want to do the opening theme for it? Or
Not
do we not
yet.
have one?
I think we should say what we would bring in, because we need to start doing this more.
Yes, we do. I'm going to recycle an answer from last season. Last season I did say for most satisfying thing, I would have brought in a document saying that one of the speeding tickets I had gotten from a little, shitty town that does nothing but give out tickets had been dismissed because the police officer didn't show up. That's very important to me because, not having a speeding ticket is great. Either that, or if we don't want to recycle one, probably my master's degree, because I have a master's in business administration, which I'm proud of that. That's important. I am an adult. So something like that.
I mean, I don't have a lot of documents.
You've got your birth certificate.
I do have my birth certificate, but I don't think I've ever actually seen it or held it. I
would say a British passport, but it's probably a lot less important than it was last year.
Maybe I'll bring in my national insurance number. Obviously, I'm not going to say what that is. Or the document.
Yeah, that could work. That's an important number.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to say my national insurance number. But
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, it's got letters in it. It's like a series. It's like a little combination with letters.
Oh, it's like hexadecimal. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's 7 characters in total, including numbers and letters. Or 7, 8 or something like that. Anyway, that's probably what I bring in. Although I could have just saved it on my phone afterwards and got 0 points for it. But oh well, it is what it is.
Yep.
If I can think of a better answer to this in the future, I'll probably say.
Yeah.
Anyway, so prize task is in the past.
Yes, and we have to do Taskmaster Joe now.
Taskmaster Joe.
Okay, so it is Taskmaster Joe. Now what I'm going to go from the lowest points I can give highest, because the lowest points I would give is to Doc Brown. Because, to start off with, I really don't like rap music. I certainly don't like angsty teenager rap music. And for reasons I'll put in a bit later, I really am not a huge fan of Doc Brown as a contestant or maybe even a person. So I'm not gonna give him that high of a score, especially for something that it's important to him, but not important as important.
Okay.
So he gets no points, and then I am going to actually I'm going to change what I had written down here now that I know about about the less specialness of Richardson's record, which is I'm going to give John Richardson 2 points for his Guinness World Record, because this is based off of the text in the article, it is very clear that at least some other people on that airplane got Guinness World Records from it.
Okay.
And unless he could produce on the spot, notice that nobody else got a record from that day. It's a lot less special. So he gets 4th place.
Okay.
Then we're going to put Catherine, because it's not that important, but if you were her friend and you wanted to go somewhere with her, that's kind of important. I'm going to give Osman 2nd place, because his world record is actually quite difficult, because I can name most world capitals, maybe, but if you put me on the spot, I probably wouldn't be able to name the capital of the state I live in, because it's one of those things where it's under pressure, nothing happens. Kind of like in Taskmaster. And then Joe Wilkinson I would give full marks to, because he managed to do what Ramesh couldn't from last season. Because last season, Ramesh gave away things that were actually going to negatively impact his life when he got home. Like, you don't have your wedding ring, that's a problem. You don't have your wedding certificate, that might be a problem like once every 6 or 10 years when you're trying to fill out some very specific form of paperwork for the government, but it's not going to impact your day-to-day life. You know, I think my parents' wedding certificate is in like the bottom of the safe that they have. So it's not like, you know, it's not a thing you have every day. So he manages to have, it's a very important document, but it's also really not going to screw him over in the same way that Ramesh's wedding ring would. So I'm going to give him full points.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, now we're on to the first task.
Wait, sorry, can I just say something as well first?
Yes.
If we use the same jingle every time you do that, it's going to get so annoying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should do that. But also, I would like to point out that...
You want to use the same jingle all the time?
I'm always down to annoy our audience. We should just make it slightly different every time, but we never tell them what we've changed.
Okay.
One thing I would like to point out about this is that Greg's scoring was originally going to be a joint third for Catherine, Richard, and John.
Mm-hmm.
But then Catherine made a bit of a fuss and managed to get Greg to give her third place and them joint last, which is fine. But this is going. I'm going to talk about this when we get to the potato task, and keep that in the back of your head.
Okay.
But on to task one. Task one, which this is probably the wordiest task we've had so far in Taskmaster. This is, and I wrote this down verbatim from the show. Place these 3 exercise balls on top of the yoga mat on top of that hill. The task is completed when all 3 balls are fully inflated and stationary on the mat. Fastest time wins. Your time starts now. So to describe the scene, they're in a park with a hill on it. Do you know where this is?
I do. I got the location. It is called Northala Hills or Northala Fields. Jesus Christ, get it right. And it is in Northolt.
Okay.
In the London borough of Ealing.
So right near your house, right?
It is. Well, it's near my parents' house. I'm currently in a different city, but I should go. I don't think I've ever actually been. There's a cool playground and stuff.
Yeah, and and the exercise balls, there's 3 big yoga balls. They're notably not big enough for you to carry all 3 of them at the same time.
Yep.
And it's a windy day, and there's this big steep hill. It's not like when we say hill, it's like this is a big, big mound, like probably 40 or 50 feet high at the lowest.
Indeed.
And the balls are at the base of it next to a bench. Now we start with Joe Wilkinson and John Richardson. Joe tries to, and these are presented at the same time for each of the pairings, but I'm going to talk about them individually. Joe, he does not even bother picking up the balls. He tries kicking all 3 of them at the same time.
Stupid.
And I mean, it's a very dumb thing, but these 2 both lost their temper a lot during this task because he kicked all 3 balls, lost them repeatedly, gets one to the top, puts it on the yoga mat, and then it rolls away. He lost his temper, but eventually got all 3 of them into a triangle shape and pushed them up the hill. And he did this in 9 minutes and 1 second. John Richardson grabbed 2 balls under each arm and kicked the 3rd. This didn't work that well, but he eventually gets all 3 to the top of the hill and 1 rolls away. And he has to chase it and eventually gets all of them back up because, as we stated, it was very windy. The balls were trying to escape. He did that in 6 minutes and 37 seconds. And then Alex blows the whistle, says, "Thank you, John." And John says, "Fuck you, Alex."
Yeah, that was funny.
That is very funny. Also, as a note, when they did the scoring, Greg thought that John should be penalized for insulting the Taskmaster's assistant, and Alex says, no, I quite liked it, which...
That would not have happened.
I didn't...
That would not... If this task had happened, say, in, like, series 9 or 10, Greg would have given him bonus points for insulting Alex. Because Greg revels in Alex's misery.
Yeah, that's a very...
Well, like, series 4 onwards, I'll say. Series 4 onwards, Greg revels in Alex Horn's misery.
Yeah, they do he does get noticeably crueler for a long time, but it does seem that in the season 12 trailer, he does seem to notice, hey, I've been a bit of a dick to you. So,
but he's not going to change.
No, he's not.
But it's also not personal.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Then, maybe it is. Next, we have Doc and Catherine. Doc takes 2 balls and leaves the third down at the bottom. He gets them to the top, and he acknowledges that it's windy, and this is pointed out by Greg, and the problem is that he thought that the rocks on top of the hill, because it's like, there's some rocks out there, he thought there'd be rocks up there. There weren't. He's prying, like, loose stone out of the ground to try and anchor the balls in place, and it doesn't work. It really does not work. His balls drop, they go all over, and he has to recruit passers-by to make sure his balls don't drop. And that takes him 12 minutes, 25 seconds.
The innuendos in this are amazing.
I know.
Oh, you know what's also funny? When Joe and John fix the task, they kick Alex's balls.
Yes, they do. That's great. But Catherine, meanwhile, has a different approach. She also recruited passers-by to hold down her balls, but the issue is, the thing that she actually did that while she was making the initial ascent. She picked up 2 balls under each arm and made her way down a footpath, ran into some women, convinced them to go with her by the power of feminism, and climbed up the hill, carried the balls herself, had them sit on them to hold them in place, went back down, got the third ball, did not walk very fast, and then they all sat on the balls on the top of the hill. 7 minutes 36 seconds, which I would like to note something very interesting, which is that Doc's helpers have blurred faces, but Catherine's don't. Which I'm very interested to know about, because Doc's helpers fucked off the first instance you could. There's only like one shot of them actually leaving, because you can just see a head just running down the side of the hill, out of shot.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine's helpers are there for the entire time and presumably stuck around long enough to sign a release. I'm very interested to know whether or not the other people just didn't want to be on television, or if there was something else going on there.
That's true.
Because it was very interesting. It's like, oh, wait a minute, only these people have blurred out faces. But
I'm sorry I laughed so much. It just
no, that's fine. It's girl power and balls are very funny.
No, it's just
for
like,
different reasons.
Doc grabbed his balls and stuff. Oh no, what I also want to say is, because like I mentioned, I watched these on like 1.5 times the speed. There's a bit where Doc Brown is just about to go down the hill for like his third ball, and one of his balls that's not weighed down by like a stone or something.
It was weighed down and rolled over the stone.
Oh no, but it was weighed down. But basically, it started blowing away, and Doc's just about to go down the hill to get his third ball, but he notices this, and he just turns around and sprints back at it, and on the sped up speed, that is funny. That's some funny shit.
Oh yeah, no, it is really funny, especially when he actually goes down the hill and the ball waits like 30 seconds before it decides to run away. And so he actually is at the bottom of the hill, and now he has 2 balls down there, and it's really funny because the ball it feels like it has much more agency than it does, and it's great.
If you're immature like me and you've laughed along literally every single time Joe has said the word balls, I salute you.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I was saying it so many times. Also, I just want to point out something very interesting from a wardrobe perspective is that Catherine is wearing a Canada Goose jacket, which is a very expensive coat that I feel we should just point out. It's a great coat. It's like a winter Arctic parka. If you've ever watched the Top Gear Race to the North Pole special, everyone, Jeremy Clarkson, James May, they were all wearing those in that. But I think actually those jackets retail for like $1,000 each in US dollars.
Damn.
But then again, she has enough money to get like frequent flyer vouchers on British Airways. It's good for Catherine. She's loaded.
Yeah, So Richard Osman's next.
Richard Osman is a fucking genius.
He is.
Which, although, first of all, we would like to point out that Greg asks him if he didn't just reach up and put the balls on the top of the hill with his immense height, which is really funny considering that Greg and Richard are about the same height.
Yeah.
I
think Greg is a little bit taller than Richard.
Yeah, Greg is they're both almost like 7 feet tall.
They are, but Greg is a little bit taller.
Yes, but Richard picks up the tasks, reads it, looks at the hill, reads the tasks again, looks at the hill, looks at the balls, reads the task the third time, goes up, gets the mat, and he actually mentions on his way back down that he was considering using it as like a sledge to carry the balls up the hill. But
no, I think he wasn't using. I don't think he meant I think he was considering like sitting on it and riding it down the hill like a sledge.
Okay. But yeah, either way, he gets the yoga mat down there. He plays with the balls for a second and puts them on the mat. There we go. And then he just collects all the balls, puts them on the mat, and calls it a day because the task said that the balls had to be on the mat, but he did not say where the balls had to be, whether the balls had to be up on top or whether they were down below. And, this episode's just going to be called A Litany of Ball Jokes. There we go. But everyone else is you can actually see when they start the episode and he just walks up the hill without the balls that,
wait. I know what we should call this. It's a ball gag.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. But you can tell holy shit. How about just ball gags? There we go. But
and then the face is like Alex.
Jesus Christ.
And then we're just like, we get a picture of Alex Horn with a ball gag in his mouth.
If you want to find that image, go ahead.
No, I won't find it. I'll Photoshop
it. What about the time that Rod Gilbert tied him up in season 5? We could do that.
No, that's coming in a bit too. Just get like a random pic of Alex with his mouth open, and then just draw it in shit paint.
Cool, you do that. I'm not doing that.
Gladly I'll do it.
Make sure that the ball gag is a yoga ball.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, I've sent down below my mic. I need to get back up. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm crying. I'm actually crying. Oh, God.
Where was I? Oh, yeah, Richard Osman playing with his balls correctly.
Okay, stop. We need to put the ball gags to a rest.
Yeah, hold on.
God.
Let me just.
I just hit my mic.
Yeah,
sorry.
we just have while you collect yourself.
That's the funniest moment that will ever be on this podcast
that we've had for a long time. But you could tell as soon as Richard went up the hill without any of the yoga equipment that everyone else
was going to be a shitstorm. Basically,
they'd cottoned on to what he was doing, and they were like, "Oh no, why didn't we do that?" And they
Joe Wilkinson puts his head in his hands.
Yeah, and Catherine Ryan just looks upset, and they continue their way, and they start yelling at him, but then Greg is like, because Osmond explains that it's, doesn't say where the mat has to be, just says the mat is currently on top of the hill. Then they go to Susie Dent, who is from...
she's also from Countdown, and 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown.
Yes. And she says that it was an unusual phrasing, it was unusual interpretation, but entirely valid. So he gets the full points because he did it much faster than anybody else.
I don't think his time was stated, though.
They did not give his time, which doesn't matter. I would have given him full points anyways.
Yeah, me too.
But then we have we're gonna put our balls away and we're gonna talk about Task 2, Potato Controversy. Realistically, we don't need to talk about anything else in this task, but one thing.
Let's just rattle through everything. Yes. We're not contractually obligated to, but it feels right. Okay.
Yes.
Let's get this through very quickly.
Yes.
I'm supposed to take. Oh wait, hold on. Scores in total after the previous task.
Yeah.
Joe and Richard both on 7. John and Catherine both on 6. Doc's in last place on 5. Task 2, throw a potato into a golf hole without touching the red-green.
Which the red-green is, for those in Canada, it's not famous comedian red-green. It is a piece of, it's a golf green that has been colored red.
It's like a red circular carpet with a hole in the middle.
Yes.
And that's what serves as the green in this game of golf.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, we will rattle through everyone else. Catherine throws the potato and misses it. She takes off her wellies and uses them to try and chuck the potato back in her direction.
She loses her wellies then, and she has to get...
she gets a broom and uses it to try and pull the potato back. I thought, because she started pushing the green up with the broom.
Everyone thinks this.
Why didn't she keep going?
Yeah, she pushes the carpet forward just far enough to grab the potato and then doesn't continue pushing it forward and instead just keeps on trying to get the potato. It's very, very strange. Ties a rope to the potato rope, she calls it, and eventually drags it into the hole. It was very dumb.
Yeah, it was very dumb. She was so upset with she was so upset with her lack of knowledge of sport that Greg got up and gave her a hug.
Yeah, she had a full-on... I thought it was maybe fake crying, but and then it was a full-on crying
gives her a hug,
over
and
sports.
then he turns around to go sit down, and Alex wants a hug, and Greg hugs Alex too. Nowadays, Greg would have probably just walked past Alex.
I thought that was Alex trying to hug Catherine, and Greg just sort of intercepted him.
Oh, that's a possible way of looking at it.
But either way, it took her 6 minutes, 28 seconds.
Yeah, Richard just grabbed an assortment of items from the shed, including an actual sledge and a green tarpaulin, walked on the boat, threw the potato in the hole.
2 minutes, 13.
Yeah. And Dr. Brown, or Doctor Who, with his shit Dalek, he tries to throw it, but misses. Then he grabs an assortment, including things like a crutch, which I can relate to right now.
And a funnel.
And a walking stick. Tapes them all together so it looks like a Dalek's exterminator nozzle thing. And then when he throws it, he just uses it to pull his potato back in. Finally gets it in 6:59.
And then
John
Richardson
also those misses. He just gets a croquet mallet and uses it to pull it back.
Yeah. He has a very funny run though.
He does, yeah.
He runs like Tim Key did in that one in the Red Nose Day bit that was supposedly for comic relief.
That was more like a a feet first strut.
Yeah.
But 1 minute
then
9,
we get to
1 minute 9 for John.
Yeah.
And then finally it's Joe Wilkinson. And
holy shit.
Joe Wilkinson, he takes his potato, he looks around a little bit, he throws it, and it plops straight into the hole without touching the sides. It goes straight in. The reaction to this in the studio is electric. There's a whole roar from the crowd the second it goes in. And then we've got Joe Wilkinson on his feet. He's standing there like, yeah, I know I've won. Everyone is around him. Everyone's cheering. He hugs Greg. He hugs Alex. He shakes everyone's hands.
And it is 14.3 seconds from beginning to end.
By far the quickest.
He hugs Alex on the screen when he did it. He then sticks the task in like a crack in the concrete driveway of the Taskmaster house.
In the VT, he claims he gets emotional and like starts wiping away his eyes. And then he's just like, bye, Alex, and goes back into the house as though nothing happened.
Time starts now. Oh, we're off. What about if I don't get it? There we go. Didn't think that would happen, did you? 14.3 seconds.
And as nothing happened. And then I actually wrote this down as I was watching like stream of consciousness. And so my notes go like, quote, Joe is a fucking legend, sticks task into crack in pavement, ? Gets majorly screwed over like this is cruel, Jesus Christ, guys. And then we'll get to the rest of this in a minute, because what happens next is that Greg says, I would like to see that again because it was really good. And they play it again. And they play it again.
And
but this time it's zoomed in on
Joe's
his foot.
And ever so slightly, the tiniest little bit of it is
toe of his
over
shoe.
the top of the red green.
And
Joe has broken the key rule of the task.
Except that he might not have. And we'll get to that in a moment.
May I quickly chip in one thing? Because I listened to the original episode, the episode of the official podcast that talked about this.
Yeah.
Naturally, Joe Wilkinson was the guest in that episode, and he was able to give his thoughts on what had happened. And he said, obviously, he'd been talking to Greg before the episode, that this episode in particular was about to be filmed, like the studio bits.
Yeah.
And Greg was saying to Joe, there's a little bit of controversy in today's episodes. And then someone walks past Greg and gives him like they're like holding like a rolled up newspaper, and they lightly bonk him somewhere on his body. Like, as a no, don't say that. And Joe, in the moment, Joe just shakes it off. But then he said that when they got to this particular moment where he throws the potato into the hole and his foot, at the very least, the toe of his foot hovers over the red green, not only did it click with him that he'd accidentally broken the task rules, or might have, that it clicked with him what Greg was talking about.
That's horrible, because that meant there was an argument in the office of like Taskmaster's production company. That's horrible. That's awful. That's terrible.
It is literally.
Because
I love Joe Wilkinson. I really love the man, and I really, really, really felt for him, as did everyone.
And this is just appalling, because they let him have his celebration, then they roll it again, and everyone immediately understands what is going on. And what's even worse is that like Joe Wilkinson like immediately is like, he actually says, please don't take it away from me.
No, he does that, and then he proceeds to get on his all fours
like a
dog, crawl up to Greg, so his face is nestled in between his knees, as though we're about to have some more ball action.
Oh God!
No, we won't go down that route. Basically, if Joe is implying that he will be Greg's bitch if he does.
It's something like, it's some sort of position of fealty.
Yeah, because there's a whole master and pet kind of.
And the entire crowd is losing its mind.
We should also mention that Joe, obviously, in this moment, he's obviously absolutely grief-stricken and devastated.
Yeah.
But he gets out of his seat, he moves around a little bit, like he wanders around in like the, not quite the offstage bit, but the bit where there's no like proper lighting.
Yeah.
Obviously when people aren't supposed to go.
Yeah, where backstage is. And this is... And even worse, like Richard Osman stands up for him.
Yeah, Richard and Catherine do.
Because you can...
The others don't.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I have opinions on all of that.
Oh, please give them when we reach that point.
But Osman stands up for him and says that, like, it really shouldn't matter in the face of this athletic achievement. And Greg actually is like, yeah, well, when you're saying it, somehow it makes me want to take it away from him more. Like, basically, we're at the anti-Ramesh here in this whole situation, because if Ramesh was bitching and kvetching about this, it would make it more in favor of keeping the points. Like, if Ramesh was was like saying, no, you shouldn't let him have the points, it would make Greg more in line to give them to him. In this specific instance, it's making... It sounds like from what you were saying, because I hadn't heard that information before, that Greg
I didn't know about it as well, but I listened to the episode, and obviously, naturally, Joe was able to give his perspective on it. And and when I heard that, that was like oh no, that makes it worse moment.
Yeah, especially because
that's like an insult to injury.
Oh, insult to injury is actually what gets me really mad about this, because the next thing that we do is we have an unprecedented thing in Taskmaster, which I don't think they've done before or since.
No, they definitely haven't done it before, and they have definitely not done it since.
Which is that a vote is held. A vote is held by the other 4 contestants as to whether or not Joe Wilkinson should be allowed to keep his points.
And also, because there's 4 of them, it wouldn't guarantee a unanimous result.
Yes.
Because there was the chance of a split. If there had been, say, like 5 other people there would most definitely have been a unanimous result.
Yeah. Like, they would have had to have had...
Well, not unanimous, but majority.
A majority vote to get this, like a 75% majority for this to go through.
Yeah.
And they send Joe Wilkinson out of the room. He actually does walk out of the stage, and they have the vote. And Catherine Ryan and Richard Osmond both go, yes, he should have his point. John Richardson and Doc Brown go, no.
Nope.
And the key thing here is that I can understand why John Richardson would do it, because John Richardson is, at this moment, with Wilkinson eliminated, winning. And you will note throughout that John Richardson does not say a fucking word about why he thinks that Joe Wilkinson should lose his points, because it is obvious why, if you think about it. He will win, and he will have more points. It is terrible but understandable. Doc Brown, on the other hand, Doc Brown, who spent how long? He spent 6 minutes, 59 seconds. This motherfucker is in last place. And he goes off and he says that the last, 2 centimeters is what made it a full through the net shot, through the whole shot. And if it had gone in any lower, if it had been like that, if it had been back a little bit, it would have bounced, as if this motherfucker knows the ballistic profile of a potato hitting a golf cup. And it is all this bullshit. And already you don't like him. Like, I'm going to be real. I watched all of season 2 of Taskmaster when it first came out on YouTube back in November of 2019. And I didn't like Doc Brown. And I didn't like Catherine Richardson, and I didn't like them for different reasons. I think it's because Catherine, she does British comedy with a North American accent, and the key to British comedy is that it's done with a British accent, which makes it sound like it's directed inward at yourself, or it's directed at someone else. When you're doing it with a North American accent, you sound cruel. And I don't know if that's what Catherine is aiming for, but she always sounds a bit more like it's a personal attack or something, and it's much meaner sounding to a North American. And that's beyond this. This is just explaining something, but
what would you
Doc Brown...
No, wait, we'll talk. I'll ask you this question once we talk about the verdict. But just keep talking for now.
But Doc Brown, I think well, first of all, I don't think he's that funny in this. I was actually thinking about this when I sat down and was watching this, is that season 2 is probably my least favorite seasons of the ones I've watched because I don't think that Doc is that funny, and I didn't think that Catherine was that funny because Catherine also goes for a bit more of the awkward comedy, and Doc just isn't funny.
I just
I
want to
don't like
say
awkward-
something.
Yeah,
So, when they bring Joe back in,
yeah. Oh, we'll get to
something.
that in a second.
Yeah, but I think
We'll
at
get
some point, or is it like earlier in? No, I think it's earlier in the episode when Richard is comparing his world record certificate to John's, saying that his is better.
Yeah.
Doc whips out, says, "Oh, shots fired." And I was thinking, and I now have, and it's my turn to now say shots fired to Doc because you have just insulted his comedy.
Oh yeah, no, I will go on against Doc Brown because Doc Brown, in addition to not being funny, like this is something that's very interesting, is that I forgot that John Richardson voted no. I thought for like the last year since I've seen this last that Catherine had voted no because I didn't like Catherine that much. Turns out that I just didn't like Catherine because her particular brand of comedy doesn't gel well with me, and that's not. And
it's like
that's what it is.
It's like two comedy. It's like the obviously because like the British comedy with
correlation does not equal
with the
causation
North American accent.
In this particular instance. Turns out it's John Richardson who voted no. I didn't even realize that. I like John Richardson because John Richardson's funny. Doc Brown is not only a backstabbing little shit, but he is also not funny. And that's why I'm really annoyed by this because he gives his whole shtick about how a potato might bounce as if there's not a chance in hell that the potato's soft enough that it might just, shear off a little bit or indent and fall into the hole anyways. He doesn't know. What did he do? He got a fucking crutch and a funnel and a broom or a cane or whatever the hell it was, and he didn't even try throwing it because he's terrible at this. Anyways, he gives this spiel. It's 50-50, which means that Joe Wilkinson is fucked.
Yep.
He gets no points for this. No point. Eurovision happened 3 days ago, so no point to Joe Wilkinson. And they bring him back into the room, and they tell him, no, you don't get points. And John Richardson, again, has said nothing until Doc Brown opens up his fucking mouth and says that was harsh and tries to not subtly at all throw blame onto Catherine and Richard. And also make it seem like Greg is being the unreasonable one.
What a snake. Or is it a rat or a snake what he's done?
Whichever... rat, snake, doesn't matter. Pick your own deceitful animal out analogy here.
More likely a snake, because a rat calls someone out behind their back.
It's like a snake. And then John Richardson plays off of this because it's clear that someone else is talking. But at the same time this is all going on, it is Doc Brown who is actively fucking with Joe Wilkinson. And is saying, oh, it was the other guy. It's like, because Wilkinson's not going to know. He might have an idea, but he's not going to know. And this is like, it makes me mad. It makes me mad because, if this was like, Richard and John, I could understand because they would be in first and second place otherwise. And they would have the most incentive to do this. But Doc Brown, who is in last, who stands to gain absolutely fucking nothing from this, is just tearing someone else down because he can. Because, he thinks that this arbitrary measure of a show that,
he's got nothing to lose, basically.
Yeah, especially considering that Catherine Ryan, less than 20 minutes earlier, made a minor hissy fit over her airline frequent flyer benefit being more valued than a Guinness World Record and convinced Greg to do this. And convinced Greg to give her more points. This is like, it's not even against the show's own internal logic to do this because the internal logic of the show is whatever you can convince Greg Davies of. And Greg Davies would have been convinced no matter what he thought of because of the controversy within the office when they did the taping. It would have also been that 3 of the 4 people thought that he should have gotten the points, and so he would have given him the points. This is upsetting because not only does he argue against it despite gaining nothing, that he also also did that he also then lied about it as soon as Joe Wilkinson came back. I hate people who did this. I hate people who did that. And it makes me mad. It makes me really mad, especially because, Joe Wilkinson might not have touched the red green at all, because if you'll allow me to ramble for a little bit longer, there
sure.
is a YouTube video that came out on April 6, 2021 by a coffee channel called Brewing Habits called Joe Wilkinson Potato Throw Valid? I analyzed the slow-mo. And it's a very short 4-minute video. I'm going to put this into the YouTube thing or something. It'll be somewhere.
Yeah.
And this guy found the exact same material, or the closest material to it, for the carpet that made up the red green. He found what kind of shoes Joe Wilkinson was probably wearing. And as it turns out, most shoes of that kind actually most shoes in general have a slight upward curve at the tip of the toes, because that's how your foot is shaped. And so it means that based on the way that Joe Wilkinson threw the potato, which was this, lazy sort of underhanded throw, then into an upward arc towards the thing, he probably put most of his weight on the backs of his heels. He threw the potato upwards, which meant that the curve of the shoe would have overhung the red green, but he actually would not have put any weight on it. He would not have contacted it at all. He would not have contacted that. So in theory, he leaned over the red green. He did not touch the red green. He should have gotten those points because it was a valid throw. And even if it's not, even if they'd put a slow-mo camera next to it and showed that he did it, we could have had an entire 5-minute argument on what the definition of you was, because Richard Osman, put down a tarp and walked across the green and dropped the potato in. You could have, in all seriousness, made the argument that the sole of your shoe is not you. You is qualified by, the bare feet or something. That argument totally could have been made, again, because Catherine Ryan, not 20 minutes earlier, just cried and said no really loudly and managed to get 2 more points for her airline ticket. This is a very loose judgment of this show, and somehow they still make me mad. Jesus Christ. How long has it been since we started talking about this? I bet it's been like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think we should quickly put a pin on this before you get even angrier. Obviously,
do you have any comments to add?
Not really. I've I've said my piece. I mean, I have one question. I mean, I think I was going to ask a question, but I think you've already answered it.
Go ahead, just in case I didn't.
Whose side are you on with this issue?
I mean,
do you think Joe Wilkinson did it, or do you think he didn't he deserves it?
I think that if he did it, it was very lightly and made no impact on the actual throw. Like if he was a couple centimeters back, or however far so that the tips of his toes weren't overhanging the red green, it might have done it. But also, I think that even if he did, and I don't think he did, I think now that I've seen this video a couple of times, and I think that he either did not actually touch it, or was like his toes were over the edge, that he still should have gotten it anyways, because the perfect in the hole throw is something that you can't. Taking it away after that happens, if they'd presented it as Joe made the perfect throw, but he stepped on the green, that would have been fine. They could have been take it away, and it would have been fine. But the fact that there was the enormous, raucous celebration, the begging, the vote, Doc Brown backstabbing, I think he should have gotten it. Because, my honest opinion, if I were in Greg Davies' position, I would have gone along with this vote, and I would have been oh, well, I guess he gets no points, right up until the moment that Doc Brown opened his fucking mouth. And then I would have given it to him just because it's that little rat. That little shit.
Oh, dear. I mean,
Doc Brown, if you're watching mad about this.
I don't 5 minutes, Joe cares.
5 years later. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll tell it to his face.
Now, I think we mentioned that this episode was going to be, if you are listening to this on the day of its release, it is currently Monday, the 21st of June, 2021. And you might be thinking, why are we uploading this episode on a Monday? We normally upload on a Wednesday. Well,
and a full month after we recorded it, no less.
Yeah, but like we said, we're recording series 2 and 3 at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
But the reason we are uploading this episode today, June 21st, is because on this day, 5 years ago, this episode, Joe's Potato Throw episode, aired on British television.
It's the 5-year anniversary.
And we need to honor it in such a way. The next episode will be out 2 days from now, and we will be back in our normal Wednesday slot.
Yep. And also, I'm just going to make a note for Emerson in the future edit. You better have both of these audio files for episodes 1 and 2 to me at least a couple of days in advance so I can put them both together.
Yeah, don't worry, I will.
Joe, I gave your fellow contestants the opportunity to save you, and they were unable to conclusively do that. And therefore, on this occasion, I'm going to have to say that your attempt was null and void. I apologise.
We did our best, right?
That is harsh. That's harsh.
But, goodness gracious me. We're on to task 3. There's another task in this episode.
Yeah.
Which I have in it, Fred, ! Swedish flag emoji 4 times.
I'll call it Fred the Swede.
Yes. You have to... The task reads, as far as I can tell, find out the following information from this Swedish person. This Swedish person may not write or
Sorry. We missed out 2 things. One was Taskmaster Joe, although I don't think you really need to... Do you need to...
Yeah, Taskmaster Joe is... Doc Brown gets 0 points, and Joe Wilkinson gets 5 points.
I'll just... if I've made the jingle, I'll just chuck it in right here.
Taskmaster Joe.
Okay, and then the scores. I know the scores. So the scores at this point, John and Richard are both on 11, Catherine's on 9, Doc and Joe are both on 7. That kind of rhymed in a way.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? It is officially no longer May 25th where I am.
Hey, it's only 7 o'clock at night here. The sun hasn't even gone down.
This is what you get when 2 people from different time zones come together to record a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's why we didn't do the Q&A episode the week you wanted to, because I was on vacation in Utah, and I was at least 3 hours behind where I am now.
Yeah.
I was 2 hours behind. But so
yeah, we got to keep going.
We are introduced to Fred the Swede for his first appearance in season 2. Those of you from who are not aware of who he was from last season, Fred is
He's
a
from the
friend
Make the Swedish Person Blush task.
Yes, and he is a friend of Alex's through his band The Horn Section. And he is, in fact, a man from Sweden. And this have
you heard of A Man from Uncle? That's the
yes.
Now disgraced Army Hammer.
Yes.
This is a man from Sweden.
Yes, Army Hammer, who had a cannibalism fetish. Oh my god. Anyways, moving on. Fred has a beard this season, and he looks great. Let's just get that right out of the way.
Fred is very, very... I know, obviously he's Swedish, but he's very Swedish looking anyway. He's got the blonde hair, he's got the blue eyes.
Yeah.
He's like me, but more Scandinavian, because I've got blonde hair and blue eyes too.
Brown-eyed boy and brown-haired boy over here in the States. But anyway, the task as it is written is find out the following information from this Swedish person. This Swedish person may not write or speak in English. Most accurate wins. Your time starts now. Now, a couple of things I would like to point out.
Joe audibly sighs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Joe does audibly sigh. A couple of things to point out. Catherine and Richard soul read Fred's nationality. I don't know if they saw the show from the last season. Most of the time, it doesn't seem like the contestants are aware of what goes on this show. But they soul read that Fred was Swedish. Catherine especially seemed surprised by this.
Yep.
But also, I would like to point out that this episode is edited. This particular task is edited very weirdly. A lot of things are grouped together. I don't really have generic, specific talking points for a lot of stuff. Also, I have no idea what the questions are because we're told in one of the studio segments that there were 6 questions. I only managed to figure out 5 of them. I have no idea what the 6th one was.
What
No
are
one
the
seems to have asked it.
questions?
As far as I am able to understand, when is Fred's birthday? What is Fred's father's job? What is Fred's greatest fear? Fred must describe the contestant, some physical feature of them, Fred's favorite food, and then there is an unknown 6th question that I don't know what it is.
Oh, you're
If
right.
you know what it is, put it in the comments because Alex said in the scoring rounds that people got 6 out of 6 questions. And I have no idea what the 6th one was. If you know what it was, please put it in the comments or email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com. ytsnpodcast@gmail.com. I apologize. Anyways, we're going to start with Joe Wilkinson and Richard Osman.
Yeah, so we mentioned Joe audibly sighs.
Yeah, Joe has no idea what's going on. Joe does not speak Swedish.
Obviously, we didn't feel as sorry for Joe as we did in the previous task, but oh man, watching him trying to do this was painful.
Yeah, he has no idea how to communicate with this guy, and I think everyone else on this cast must be supernaturally gifted at charades because they get whatever the hell Fred is doing, and I certainly didn't because Richard asks Fred to mime what his father does, and he does an up and down hand motion that is supposed to symbolize painting because Fred's father is a decorator. I had no idea what that meant, and certainly Joe Wilkinson didn't, but Richard Osman got it in a second.
Well, to be fair though, it's like if you've got like someone miming gripping something and going up and down, it most likely looks like painting. Sorry, I'm not quite centered with my mic. There we go.
I would never have guessed that. Never would have guessed that.
Well, to be fair though, I mean, Fred didn't give the best action for Doc Brown.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. That one's great. But Joe actually at one point goes, "If I pay you money, will you speak English?" Which that should be for some British political humor. Is that UKIP's way of dealing with immigration?
It might have been under Nigel Farage's reign as leader of UKIP.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. So
I mean, Nigel Farage he's on Cameo though. You know the side where people.
Yeah, a lot of people are on Cameo. I don't care about Cameo.
What if I paid a bit of money for Nigel Farage to send us a personal message on the podcast?
If you want to waste your own money doing that, you absolutely can. I will never pay money for Cameo because I don't care enough about a celebrity to do that. I think it would have to be like a certain celebrity.
I mean, if they did it for free, I think it would be more special.
Oh yeah, if it was free, or if it was cheap, but I'm not paying $300 for Gary Busey.
If a celeb gives you a personal message for a fee of nothing, that's special. And should be taken so.
Yeah. But also special shout out to Richard Osman, who asked Fred to spell out I think it was Fred's greatest fear,
which is where we get the title of the episode, by the way.
Yeah, fear of failure. But because Fred is indeed afraid of failing, but Fred spells it in Swedish. Richard audibly goes, "I don't know what this means," and then manages to still somehow guess what the spelling in Swedish was. I am at a total loss for how this works.
Me too.
But that's what that is.
Poor Joe Wilkinson absolutely broke down.
Yeah. So Richard did this in 17 minutes and he got all 6 questions. We don't have an exact time figure for Richard. Joe gave up after 16 minutes 20 and answered none of them.
Fuck all, basically.
Yes.
This podcast has a parental advisory sticker on it for a reason.
Yep. Yes, it does. If the yoga jokes before didn't get you.
Yep.
But Doc and John are up next, and it's mostly a game of charades because the 2 things I have written down, the 3 things I have written down is describing. So first we have describe Fred's dad's profession. Doc Brown goes, "Oh, he's a croupier," which for those who don't get it, croupier is
It's like
the
a card
person
dealer
at
in
a
a game of poker or something.
Yeah, it's a casino card attendant, and Doc actually goes, "Jesus Christ, I have to change my lifestyle," which is really funny.
Like, he grew up in a very gambling heavy family.
Yeah. Meanwhile, John Richardson goes, "Oh, he's an animal," because of whatever Swedish word Fred used to describe it.
It sounds like animal.
Yes, and then the only other thing we're really shown is describing the contestants, which Doc is described as having short hair. John is described as having curly hair, being short, having kind eyes, and a couple of other physical attributes, which clearly means that Fred is interested in John much more than he is in Doc. But I will just point out that it took John a while to figure out anything about this. He didn't actually figure out what Fred was saying about his appearance at all. But
can I say something about Doc? Sorry, you might be about to say this, but Doc, I wanted to say this. But Doc says he's like trying to work out how Fred described him, and he asks, "Did you describe me as tall?" And Fred says, "Nay."
No. Short? No.
No. He just goes tall. Fred says, "This is Doc Brown, by the way. Did you describe me as tall?" Fred says, "No." And then Doc looks at him apprehensively and says, "Brown?"
No. Thank you.
And
that was the exact thing I was about to say.
And then he does a little 45-degree look and just with the cocked eyebrows and goes, "Friendly?" with a smile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The next romance.
Doc tried to flirt with
Fred.
Clearly. Yeah, but so in the end of it, John got in 15 minutes 26 seconds, he got 5 questions, did not understand what Fred was describing him as. Doc took over 10 minutes. We do not get a specific time unit here, which is very unusual for Alex Horn. And he got 3 questions and an attempted flirtation with Fred, although he does claim to have gotten Fred's number. So, who knows?
But the number was wrong, according to Alex.
Yes, the number was wrong. And then we have Catherine Ryan.
This was a good approach. Even if she hadn't approach. It wasn't just the calling of the Danish person.
She called her friend Sophie, who's Danish, which is funny.
But then I was specifically rehearsing this to myself in my head because when Fred mentions he likes ground beef, Catherine says it's like a hamburger helper type thing. Now, I know Catherine's Canadian and you're American, but
do I need to explain what hamburger helper is?
But like how Catherine says what Catherine says about the Danish and Swedish, it's the same, I think.
It is just a box of ground beef and stuff you put in ground beef.
Oh, okay.
And you eat it like I'm going to be real for a second. I don't actually eat hamburger helper ever because it's not something we eat in my family, but it is basically just what do you describe hamburger helper as?
Probably just like minced beef.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Like if you have, what we'll have is like what me and my family is quite fond of is spaghetti bolognese or spag bol, as we'll just call it, and we use mince, like ground mince in it. That's sort of what I'm imagining.
Yeah, hamburger helper, going from Wikipedia, hamburger helper is a packaged food product from General Mills sold as part of the Betty Crocker brand. So while I'm talking, you figure out an other brand so that we don't get accused of advertising bias. It consists of boxed dried pasta with powdered seasonings contained in a packet. The product line also features other starches such as rice and potatoes. The contents of each box are combined with browned ground beef, water, and with some varieties milk to create a complete one-dish meal. They also make tuna helper and chicken helper.
Wow.
I don't eat hamburger helper. I don't eat chicken helper. I don't eat tuna helper, but I am aware of what it is.
I also want to... I know this is also jumping ahead a bit, but when Greg says there are some things there that you should have been able to work out yourself, like cooked potatoes.
Yes.
Joe Wilkinson puts his head in his hands as though he cannot bear to think of potatoes anymore.
Yes. I thought that meant that he had asked Fred the question and just hadn't understood what cooked potatoes means. Although
there's a level of ambiguity to it, I guess.
Yes.
But it's like...
I would actually like to ask some...
in the previous series when Greg says like the competitors will get very, very angry or something, and the camera just cuts to Ramesh.
Yeah, but I actually have some questions here. So, to actually explain what happened in this task, because we didn't explain it with Catherine. Catherine calls her friend Sophie, who is Danish.
Who's also
Somehow,
really cool, according to Catherine. I want to meet
somehow
all
Sophie,
of everyone Catherine knows, because she always describes them as super cool or so cool or something.
Yeah, she does. But somehow Sophie also understands Swedish, has a back and forth conversation with Fred through the phone, and then when Fred is describing what his favorite food is, which is some hamburger dish with like berries and stuff, it doesn't really matter. Catherine pulls out her phone and starts typing into either a Swedish to English dictionary or Google Translate what he's saying. And I don't understand why no one else just did that from the start. Because notably, Fred couldn't speak in English. They could have just found the Swedish language option in their phone, put the keyboard on that, and just typed that up. And it would have been over in like 60 seconds. And put it through Google Translate. But, I guess I'm different.
I mean, being different is okay.
So I don't entirely know. But also, question I do have is that one of the ingredients of Fred's favorite dish is the lingonberry, which Catherine Ryan has apparently never been to an IKEA in her life, because one of the many, many staples of IKEA is Swedish meatballs with lingonberry sauce.
I only found out that lingonberries are native to Scandinavia. Although I should have been able to work that out, because it's like, I think there's a character in Frozen or something called Lingon.
Maybe I haven't watched it in a very long time, but yeah, I was just surprised because I live 3 hours from the nearest IKEA. And I still am well aware of what IKEA sells as far as foodstuffs go, because they sell the same thing at every IKEA cafe across the world. It's that's the one thing because it's a food you've never heard of. So it's like, what is this Lincoln stuff?
I mean, it's also blue and yellow. Like literally, it's the most Swedish look.
It's purple.
Yes. No, the IKEA exterior.
Yes, IKEA is very Swedish, and then
literally it's
lingonberries
blue
themselves
on
are purple.
It's yellow text on a blue background. You cannot get more Swedish than that.
Yeah. Yep, but Catherine got all 6 questions done in 15 minutes 41 seconds, which I would love to see the unedited versions of like Joe Wilkinson's attempts. Just 16 minutes of a man not understanding a damn thing.
Wow.
Because he looked so done by the end of it, and I just desperately want to see how at the end of his rope he was. But anyways, just so that we do have the questions out, as far as I can tell, Fred's birthday is August 27th, 1981. Fred's father was a decorator. Fred is afraid of failure. His favorite food is some kind of hamburger dish with local Swedish ingredients, including the lingonberry. He describes the contestants to their face, and I have no idea what the 6th one is.
Yeah, we don't know.
No idea.
Neither do I.
But anyways, then we're on to the live task, and then we'll be done at only 2 hours into this episode, because this will take us like 10
we're an hour
minutes.
and 45. Scores quickly.
It'll take us.
Richard's in the lead with 15. John and Catherine are on 14. Doc's on 9. Joe is on 8. Do you want to take this one, or should I? Well, it's
your
my
turn.
turn. So, the live task is simple. Pack for your holiday. Everything must be either worn or in your suitcase with the lock shut. I listed down the items that they had to put in. So there was a wetsuit, a sombrero, armbands. I mean, like inflatable armbands, not something else which you might.
Yeah.
A snorkel with goggles, a rubber ring or an inflatable, flippers, a bucket and spade, and a piñata.
And a lot of candy.
Which was in the piñata?
Maybe. I that was not made clear. This one especially we had no idea what was going on.
I mean, I've only one note. I have some piñatas get fucked.
Yeah, I have that too.
And Joe kicks his. Like right at the end, Joe is so angry. He breaks his piñata in half, drop kicks one half of it, Just like,
Oh yeah, no. I want to describe that because but first the hat is specifically a sombrero, and the inflatable ring is actually like patterned to look like a donut.
It is, yeah, and it's also there's like a design so it looks like someone's taking a bite out of it, like a Homer Simpson donut.
But yeah, there is my notes say things have been smashed. Osmond is wearing a bucket. Doc might have hurt his hand. Joe is wearing a piñata, whether anyone likes it or not.
Oh, and Joe also, Joe is at this when like the task is read out and it's like any questions. Joe asks if they have to take their blouse off. I don't know why. It's just like a stupid quote.
Yeah, blouse in what specifically is blouse in the UK terminology?
Well, it's like an article of it's an article of clothing for the torso, mainly targeted at it's mostly most blouses are normally like you've found like the women's section of a clothes shop, and they can range from anything like button-up shirts that you might find in an office to just say like something you'd slip on for casual wear.
Okay, that's what it is too, but I have no idea why he was saying, do we have to take our blouses off?
I think it's just he's just being funny.
Yeah, that's true. That joke might land better on your side of the Atlantic than mine, but yeah, my
especially
favorite part
it's
of this,
it's normally an item of clothing not really associated with men.
Yeah.
So,
but I thought it was really funny when Alex is yelling, "You can't wear a piñata," at Joe, and Joe picks up the piñata, punches a hole in the side, shoves it down his arm to like wear it like a gauntlet, and Alex like physically recoils in laughter and just staggers away as this is happening because Wilkinson is clearly at the end of some imaginary
he's
rope.
literally he's been through hell and back to get here.
Mm-hmm. And so he just like and just punches through the piñata.
Literally just cannot take it anymore. He's had a horrible first time on the show, and literally just him losing his rag at the very end, stamping on the piñata, I think, to break it in half, then picking it up and just drop kicking it is like the icing on the cake.
Yep. And then at the end of this, we have no idea what happened. They actually have to reset, cut back to them sitting on the chairs in front of Greg, and it's revealed. Do you want to reveal who won?
I'll go from last to first. So in last place, and I think this will not come as a surprise to everyone, is Joe Wilkinson on 8. Joe has not gained any points. No, he didn't. He didn't gain any points.
I meant in the live task because they did say
in the live task. So Doc and Joe both got nothing. Catherine 3,
they gave up.
John 4, and Richard got 5 points.
Yeah,
which means
because Osmond's the only one who successfully did it, basically.
Yeah. In terms of the series, like I mentioned, in the scores for both the episode and the series, Joe's got 8, so he's in last. Then it's Doc on 9, Catherine on 17, John on 18. And Richard wins the episode on 20.
Yes, and do you want to know what's really annoying?
What?
Even if Joe Wilkinson had won his 5 points from the potato task, he wouldn't have actually won the episode. Unless, like, him winning the potato task would have given him, like, some sort of mental boost to do the live task better.
Maybe.
I don't think he would have. But I just think that's really, really kind of funny.
Yeah.
That after all that, it still was for naught. But anyways,
Richard Osman. I'm just going to say this in advance, like a prediction for the series. Richard Osman has he's one of the more. He has one pretty bad episode, but other than that, he does quite well, and he still doesn't really win. Like, I've found the moment in this task that. Oh, I just gave away who didn't win. But anyway,
I thought he did win.
No, he wins the episode, but not the series.
Oh shit! I forgot who won the series. Okay, this will be an.
I'm sorry if I spoiled it to you, but
oh no! One of the other 4 people won.
Yeah, if you.
Oh wait, I remember. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Sorry we spoiled it for you. Should we just cut that out?
You can. I don't give a shit.
Okay, I'll probably cut that out.
We're going to cut out this, but not the belch.
Yeah. I'll cut out the bit from I say the most interesting thing about Richard. So we'll go from just here. Okay. Okay. So Richard wins the episode. He triumphs over his competitors. He gets to take home all the important documents, and the Taskmaster arena is closed for the time being.
Which, as a note, you were saying about them maybe doing this in a different theater than usual. You can tell this because the prizes are up on the stage, as opposed to last season.
They were on the balcony.
Where they were on a royal box, which, as we all know, gave Frank Skinner the ability to pelt the audience with a soccer ball in the first episode. With Josh's invisible ink signed soccer ball.
Oh, yeah.
He wailed an audience member on the head.
I mean, that would have been both painful and exciting.
Yes. And then I did sit through the credits of this episode looking for Mr. Damien Eggs, who unfortunately is not in this season, which, gives more credence to the idea.
Damien Eggs, if you're still out there, please give us a contact, write us a review, and maybe even come on the podcast, because
we'd love to
get some professional. The people I want on this podcast, I want Ed Gamble to come and defend himself.
I want Joe Wilkinson.
I want Mike Wozniak more than anything, but we might have to wait on him, especially because he's not on for another 9 series.
Mm-hmm. And then we also I'd also love to talk to Greg and Alex, just because that would be good. But also, someone we should talk to is listed in the credits as a task consultant. Mr. Timothy Keenathy is back.
Tim works.
Tim Key is now been employed by Alex Horn as a task consultant, a job I believe he still has.
Yeah, he does still have this job.
Yeah. It was very interesting to see him on there. Apparently, serving him that horrible meal at the end of last season did not sever their friendship.
Yeah. I mean, they're still friends behind the scenes, behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got nothing more to add.
That is, in fact, episode 1 of Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster
Series
podcast.
2, episode 1.
Season 2, episode 1.
Series 2.
Series.
It's called series. It's called series in this country. And it's a...
Yeah, and am I in your country?
No, but I say you are. In my mind.
What's my national insurance number then?
I don't know. That's your business and not mine.
All right. On that note, after 1 hour and 55 minutes of this episode, we're going to call it a day. Thank you so much. And remember, unless you... Oh, no, I was going to make a playing with your balls joke, but that's not going to work. Let's just cut that and go.
We've had enough ball gags for the time being.
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, we're going. Right. Goodbye.
We're calling this episode like some ball gag shit. We'll just call it ball gag.
Mm-hmm.
Or ball gags.
Right.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.